Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Press McKissack.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Profit Share Mastery Podcast. I'm Linda McKissack.
I'm Press McKissack.
Hey, Press, how are you?
I'm good, Linda. How are you doing?
Good. Getting ready for a family reunion. We're excited. We're going to do a booth for profit shares.
Well, what's awesome, Linda, is I think this is the first time ever that there's a profit share booth at family reunion, unless there's a time you can remember where the vendor hall has had a profit share booth. What I'm most excited about is a couple surprises. So at family reunion, what we're going to have is a big profit share check, like life-size check. So people can go, it's whiteboard, so they can go and write how much profit share they want to make. And then what's cool about it is we forged Gary's signature. So I'm assuming he's going to be totally fine with that. I'm sure he will not mind us doing that. But you'll get a picture with your own profit share check with your profit share goals. So you can put that on your dream board. The other exciting thing is we got a life-size cutout of the Linda McKissack. So if Linda's not actually at the booth, no worries. You can find her giant life-size poster board and take a picture with her and your profit share check. it's going to be awesome.
What's funny is anytime anybody asks me to take a picture, which I'm always happy to do, but when anybody asks, I always say there's one stipulation. You have to put it next to your profit share goal.
Love that.
And so this will be pretty cool because now they can just come up at any time, fill in the amount that on their check that they want to make in profit share and do the picture. So I love it. I love the idea that we everybody can go get a picture of their check, put it on your dream board, and then get busy getting after going, changing lives, and don't worry about anything else but changing lives, and then the check will come true.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So speaking, Linda, of changing lives, on today's episode, what I wanted us to talk about is this idea of answering the call. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is a lot of people spend their life working for money, and the thing that they chase is success. And I know a lot of the real estate agents and KW associates that we talk with, not right or wrong, but they're focused on selling real estate. They're focused on making money, providing for their family. And what's interesting is I look at your life and I watch the journey that you went on and the journey that KW took you on. And John Maxwell talks about this idea of moving from success to significance. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to just kind of open it up to you. When I say answering the call, talk us through that idea and that concept and how you do that.
Well, Press, I think now more than ever, I've probably ran into realtors who are super successful. We're not talking about people who aren't making it in the business. And they're all asking, what else? I feel like I'm made for more. I don't know what more is. You and I have recently had this conversation and I had one yesterday. So it's so interesting because I don't know if it's just the way God made us that we run to a certain, I always think about the hierarchy of needs. And once we get to a certain level of success, we start to ask ourselves, what else is there? Or am I made for more? Or, I feel an uneasiness. And honestly, Press, I remember hitting that my 12th year in the business, doing 200 transactions a year after year. From the outside looking in, all measurements would have said, oh my gosh, she's so successful. How could she ever want anything else or whatever? And there's just this little gnawing that happens. There's this little tapping that happens on your shoulder, I guess. And I kind of believe now that I've been through that journey, it's kind of a wake-up call that after a while, everything gets old. And so a next natural door, I think, for people is significance. And significance means where I stop focusing on, doing X, Y, Z to be successful. Not that, trust me, I'm all about goals and I've learned that the money comes when you bring value to the world. So I just focus on bringing the value to the world. It's just much better that way. It's just not that fun to just chase money and not have some kind of meaning attached to it. But what I've learned is what that meant was to take all of my background, all of my successes and failures and all of those things, and move it to a place where I'm now helping other people And that's where the significance, I think, comes in. So I'm pretty much convinced, especially this year has been one of those years where I'm watching top producers searching around, looking around, going, I don't know, there's got to be something. I feel like there's more. I don't know what that more is. And so that might be the call that you need to be answering, of switching more to, how do I now help other people? And in our opinion, what better way to do that than introduce them to Keller Williams, where you've been able to build such a great, successful business. And now they get a chance to do that because that's where they are in their journey. And at the same time, you're building wealth while changing their lives. So,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
word, Linda, the word that keeps coming to me when we've talked about this in the past is impact. And, you tell the famous story about looking up and, the only thing that was changing was the color of the carpets. And you enjoyed helping buyers and sellers, but none of them, there wasn't, you were helping them with their biggest asset, but maybe there wasn't that level of impact or life change that you started to experience when you began to bring people to KW. And can you talk a little bit about, when we talk about impact as it relates to introducing people to our amazing company, what are some of the things you've heard from people who've made the move to KW, and how did that give you signs of, wow, this gives me significance. This gives me a feeling like I'm answering the call. I'm doing something in the service of others and not necessarily myself.
Right. Well, one instance that I think of is when we were in a hotel lobby, and I was standing next to Nikki Baldini, who we brought into the company, and Brian Fair and Marcy Fair come up, and they say to Nikki, man, thank you. You changed my life. And I'm sitting there knowing I brought Nikki and Nikki brought them, and realizing, and they said, you not only changed our lives, but you changed our families' lives forever. And so, I mean, I get chill bumps just saying that right now. Right. Then I realized that felt different than when I sold a seller's house or I sold a buyer a house. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy doing all those things because they're super important, but it was a next level thrill and a next level contentment. And so I think, and then on the 21st of the month, I get texts from people that says, thank you so much. You changed my life. Thank you so much. So I think it feels a different level of accomplishment than something that you just, kind of was a task you did or whatever. So I've always said, it feels better and it feels more in line with contentment to me than the other ever did. And I loved selling houses. Don't get me wrong. I'm an achiever. So I love achieving whatever I'm achieving at. And it served me well for a long time. I think what happens is we go past our past due date before we add something that is about changing other people's lives. And I don't know what each person's calling is. We're just saying this is a great opportunity to try to see if this would, and we'll tell what you and I were talking about before the episode today. You were talking about some of the things that you're seeing on Facebook.
Yeah, in our Profit Share Mastery private Facebook group, it is not uncommon, and you're in that group, so you see it too. It's not uncommon on a weekly basis. Somebody will post in that group and say, wow, thank you for this opportunity, because this is so fulfilling for me. They'll use phrases like, this is fulfilling. I feel good when I'm helping people. This is such a cool opportunity. And it just goes to this point about answering the call. When we, I think God wired us in a way that our lives were not meant to be about ourselves. Our lives were meant to be about helping and other people have success and have create a life of impact. So when we get to do that, it's really fun in our community that we get to hear our people saying those words.
Yeah, it's using our talents, our experiences, our life's journey in the service of others.
That's right.
That's right.
And to be honest with you, Linda, it's one of the secret sauces of this company. It is when you think about, other companies can try to copy our model. They can try to copy our, caps and splits and all the things. And one of the things that you can't is our culture. It's the way that we treat each other. It's the way that we help our fellow associate in the company. And, Linda, one of the things that I think for someone who's listening today, and they're like, man, Linda, when you talk about not knowing what more is, but feeling that calling of wanting more, two things that kind of pop in my head are, number one, I think it starts with perspective. You talked about I think we all start out in our careers going after money, even if we don't think we are, we're chasing success, or we're trying to make a living. And then at some point, if you get to that point, which a lot of the top producers we talk to do, they get to that point where they start having perspective on their life. They realize their life's not all about making a dollar. It actually can be more than that. It could be about bigger things. So I think perspective is the first word that comes to mind for me. The second is courage, because it takes courage to think about how you're going to go and after more, whatever more is. So will you talk a little bit about the idea of either perspective or courage? Like, if you're talking to the person right now who's like, Linda, I hear what you're saying. I don't know what more is, but I have that calling. What would you tell them to do?
Yeah. Well, and I think you and I have been working on this, on creating some kind of program where we can help people through this process. And I think the first beginning starts with, perspective of who are you and what are your unique abilities, and what are the activities that give you so much joy that you don't measure whether you're getting paid for it or not. You don't look at the clock and see, is it lunchtime or quitting time? You could do it for the next 25 years. So what are those unique abilities and everybody has them, but I think because they're so natural and easy for us, we just kind of ignore them until somebody makes us sit down and reflect on them. And so I would say part of it would be to figure that out. The other part would be to go out, 15 years, 20 years, depending on their age, and say, what are the places I could have some regrets? And wealth building is something that's super important for us, and we always try to teach it. So I always tell them to go there and say, if all your money stopped coming in today, would you be okay? Because we can't serve others if our own needs aren't taken care of. And so you got to, number one, make sure that's prepared, and then try to combine your skills and talents with an opportunity that will do that for you, that will give you that long-term freedom and option that we all want in our lives, right? Because when we don't have freedom and options, we go back to scarcity and we start, searching for the dollar that we got to have. So number one, we have to stay in that space. And the way to stay in that space is to always be preparing for, what can I be doing today that's going to multiply itself later on for me, give me that freedom and those options. And the thing that takes courage, Press, is a lot of times you got to let go of something a little bit to have space and room to do that thing. And I mean, everybody that's in our programs that, works with recruiting people, when you're recruiting someone, even though you could layer it on top of what you already got to do, like we teach in the program, one of the things that we teach is, hey, if you're going on a listing appointment and you got a recruit that would love to go on a listing appointment with you, that's going to take courage. Trust me, I did that one time years ago. An agent out of Oklahoma called me, and what's funny is she eventually later became my regional director. But when she was new in the business, she just picked up the phone and said, hey, I admire you. You spoke in Oklahoma. Can I come and go on a listing presentation with you? And as good as I was at getting listings, at least my numbers showed that, to be honest with you, I was terrified that someone would come sit beside me and watch me. And it was kind of funny because here's the thing, she got so much value. And was I great or perfect? No, but I got better because of it. So in a way, it actually, and by the way, I was already going on that listing appointment anyway. So it did not cost me any extra time to have Ginger come along with me. And we still laugh today because I had one of those weird scenarios where the house flooded. It was in the 500-year floodplain, and it actually flooded. And so the people are asking me questions that I have no flipping answer to. So at one point, to give myself some space, I look at Ginger and go, what do you think? She said, I thought I was going to die, because she's like, I'm here to learn from you, but I'm going to give myself some room and space to come up with an answer. So we still laugh about that today. So those are the things that are going to take courage, Press. Letting go of something to make room for something else takes courage. Sharing something that you're not that confident in yourself, teaching buyer's appointments, seller's appointments, conversation practicing, all of those things are one of the best things you can do to add value to another human. And they're the scariest things to do. So that's what I would say is takes courage.
And, Linda, the other thing is, it might also be something that is new, right? And when something's new that you're going after, you might not be great at it at first, or right, you might not be the best at it. And so that courage could also be starting again, learning something, right? Like a lot of people, you can get stuck in, I've achieved success in what I'm doing, and it scares me to have to go out and try to create more success in something else, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I was just thinking, and I think the courage also comes in the fact that there's something to do with when we're trying to recruit someone that we feel like we have to know more than we have to know, and we have to say more than we have to say. It takes courage to do it and not have all the answers, be better off because you don't have all the answers and you're not a recruiter and you don't have all these practice conversations already. And you're not doing all the selling and telling that you normally think you have to do. So I think that's another part that takes courage, is to let silence do the heavy lifting, learn to ask great questions, make 80 to 90% of the conversation about them. That actually takes courage, because you feel a little bit better if you have all the answers and you have practice scripts and you think you're recruiting someone, instead of just letting that person really talk the most, give you all the answers you need to help them moving forward and all those things that you need.
Yeah. And so, Linda, in closing, I want to kind of hear your final thoughts. But for me, what's interesting is I look behind you right now, you're in your office and you have a sign, and I think it perfectly sums up what we're talking about here. And it says, one day your life will flash before your eyes. Be sure it's worth watching. And I would say to those out there, don't live a life of regret. Don't wake up one day and wish you had. Be glad you did. Be glad you took the risk. Be glad you were willing to go out there and try something new, do something different, follow your heart and answering the call. So, Linda, what about you? Just in closing, what do you want to say about answering the call?
I would just say, give it a try. And what have you got to lose? I think you would have more regrets if you don't try. And I would say, if you have a need or a desire inside of you that's kind of unsettling, and you love helping other people, or you love teaching, or you love coaching, what I found with this is this actually serves that piece of you. Although it might look differently than what you thought it was going to look. You might thought you were going to be, a full-time MAPS coach, which is always a great thing. And I encourage you to do that, because that'll just give you more tools to help someone else. But I think sometimes we think we have to do this big grandiose thing to solve that piece inside of us, when really we could just start with trying to change people's lives by the way your life was changed, which is helping them self-discover that Keller Williams is a great place for them to build an amazing career.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's what we got for you for today's episode. Linda, I'll see you at Family Reunion, and hopefully we'll see everyone else there.
Yeah, I think what we're going to try to do is get Andy to drop this sooner. So be sure and come by the booth. We don't know the number or anything yet, do we? Do we have?
It's on Radio Row.
It's find Radio Row. Come find Press and I. Come take a picture with your profit share check. Come talk to us. We'd love to help you further on building wealth while you're changing lives. So see you at Family Reunion.
See ya.